Thank you for joining us. Some breaking news out of Edina at this hour. 3 schools are now closed after officials say they received a threat. The superintendent for Edina Public Schools says Normandale Elementary School received, quote, 2 concerning voicemail messages, prompting the district to close Normandale, Southview, and Concord campuses. The Edina Community Center has also been closed. Police are now investigating the credibility of the threats. Today's incident comes just 5 days after Edina High School and Valley Middle Schools were closed for a different threat. Just in, the St. Paul Fire Department is investigating its first fatal fire of the year. It happened at a home in the city's north end about 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Firefighters pulled one person from the home who did die a short time later at the hospital. In just about 3.5 hours, St. Paul city leaders are expected to vote on a ban preventing people from smoking anything in public areas like parks. Cece Gaines explains what it will mean.
Hey there. So the City Council is expected to meet in just a few hours at 3:30 this afternoon. And if they approve this updated ordinance, it could go into effect in about 30 days. So here's what they'll be voting on. The latest version of this ordinance would ban smoking of any kind in parks and within 25 feet of entrances to public buildings and workplaces. This proposal is stemming from the new state law legalizing recreational pot. You can now smoke pot inside your home, but it's up to individual cities to decide on smoking in public. Today's vote comes after hours of input from city residents. Again, today's City Council meeting starts at 3:30. I'll send things back to you.
Right now, police are searching for a Minnesota murder suspect who was accidentally let out of a jail in Indiana. In 2021, Kevin Mason was convicted of second-degree murder in Hennepin County. It took police 2 years to find him. He was finally arrested in Indianapolis 9 days ago, but 2 days later, he walked out the front door. The Marion County Sheriff's Office blames the mess-up on a clerical error between jurisdictions. Funeral services are underway right now in Iowa for Algona police officer Kevin Cram. Cram was shot and killed last week while trying to arrest Kyle Rickey. Rickey ran from the scene, was found hours later near Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. He now faces first-degree murder charges. Officer Cram was a husband, father, and 10-year law enforcement veteran. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office says it will now consider whether to charge a Minnesota State Patrol trooper who shot and killed Ricky Cobb II. Cobb was shot and killed in July on I-94 in Minneapolis. State Patrol says he was pulled over for a broken taillight, but officers tried to take him into custody after finding out he had an order of protection violation. Less than 24 hours ago, the BCA handed over its investigation to County Attorney Mary Moriarty. In a statement, Moriarty says her office is beginning a complete and thorough review of the case. Well, this looks like a crash that no one would be able to walk away from, but miraculously, there were no serious injuries. After the fiery crash on Highway 14 near Owatonna early yesterday, today we are now hearing from the driver of that car that was involved. Kirk Ruzek was behind the wheel of the car that almost appears to vanish into flames. Check that out. Kirk told us what was going through his mind at the time.
I didn't realize, not until it was too late, that I'm going to hit him. And the car blew up in flames some. The glass all busted out, but the doors are all jammed shut all from all the impact. I'm thankful I'm still here.
As for the investigation that is still ongoing, MnDOT says it will now take a closer look at the intersection where the crash happened. Right now, we're looking for more information from the Robbinsdale School District after the announcement that the superintendent there is stepping down. The board says Dr. David Engstrom is resigning, calling it a, quote, mutual decision. The board has begun its search for a replacement. The assistant superintendent will fill the role until they find someone. Well, we are in the middle of what will likely be one of the warmest days this week, getting maybe into the 80s. Ben, what can we expect?
Yeah, I think it's almost a guarantee, Rena, that we're going to get into the 80s. Lots of sunshine today. Temperatures already a few degrees warmer than yesterday, which also reached into the 80s. Right now we are at 77 degrees. And most of us will be in the low to mid 80s by this afternoon. Maybe a touch of humidity as well, but it doesn't feel like the July 85 degrees like what we felt just a couple of months ago. Here's our radar satellite composite. Mostly sunny across most of Minnesota and Wisconsin. However, we do have a couple of pop-up showers, barely more than a sprinkle for areas around Paynesville and then up north around the Fort Ripley area. Most of us are going to stay dry today under a mostly sunny sky. Here is your hour-by-hour forecast. You can see temperatures peaking by about 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. This is probably going to be the warmest we get this afternoon or through the week, but we still have a string of 80s that will probably last at least through tomorrow. We'll talk about some weekend rain potential just ahead, Rena.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Well, turning to national news, where in just over an hour, we will learn if the Federal Reserve will bump up interest rates. At 1:30, we're expecting to hear from the chair of the Federal Reserve. Economists expect he will announce that they are going to hold steady, avoiding another hike for the rest of the year. During that time, of course, the Fed will be keeping a close eye on, though, if the hikes that they have seen or made throughout this inflation crisis are actually making an impact.
The difficulty always here is knowing when to stop, and monetary policy, higher interest rates, takes a while to have an effect.
Today's decision comes as the country faces record high gas prices and a potential government shutdown. And here's a live look at our nation's capital, where lawmakers are still scrambling to come up with a spending deal to avoid that shutdown.
We're days away, once again, from a government shutdown, all at the hands of this endless MAGA madness.
You know, I'm not a fan of government shutdowns. I've seen a few of them over the years. They never have produced a policy change.
If the government shuts down in less than 2 weeks, it means paychecks will stop coming for several groups, including active military members, air traffic controllers, and TSA officers. All those people, however, will be expected to still go to work. The delay would also leave FEMA with depleted funds and put a hold on FDA inspections. Well, today, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, is answering lawmakers' questions linked to claims of bias in his department. He's been called to testify to the House Judiciary Committee. Republicans have accused Garland of failing to protect the department from political leanings. Today, Garland is pushing back on those claims. Meanwhile, some Democrats say the department is being too timid. Well, it is back to the lab for a nasal spray meant to be an alternative to the EpiPen. The FDA is asking for more research from the company that makes Neffy, a nasal spray for people with severe allergies. The board wants more information on how that product impacts people after repeat dosages. The company's CEO says they were very surprised by the decision. If Neffy is able to eventually get approval, it would be the first of its medicine of its kind.